everyone, Gaijin Goombah here, and welcome back to Yokai Hunters, where Japanese monster and media meet to unravel the origins of anime and gaming's coolest characters. With not much else coming out this month except all the Shovel Knight, which don't you worry, we're making our rounds to you, we figured, let's just keep riding this Pokemon train. People seem to really enjoy the Gutra and Galar region video, so why not? Besides, truth be told, there's probably more references to Japanese yokai monsters in this game than any other popular franchise in the West. No joke, I've counted 35 different Pokemon with roots in yokai folklore so far, and I'm finding more every single time I come back to this series.
But with so many options, what the heck do we choose?
Oh, I figured since winter's right around the corner and ferrets have been taking over TikTok as of late, now'd be a good time to dive in one of the earliest yokai-based Pokemon, Sneasel and Weavile. For those of you outside the know of Pokemon, if there was just one thing you needed to know about this long-clawed lad, it's that it's fast. In fact, with its baseline speed stat of 115, Sneasel is the fastest pre-evolved Pokemon in the game, with its evolution, Weavile, at its own crazy speed of 125, which is only slightly more impressive than its attack stat. 95 for Sneasel and a whopping 120 for Weavile. Aside from those two stats though, there's not much to write home about. This guy is strictly about speed and physical attacks.
But what about how it attacks?
Well, this guy's moveset is all about the claws. Scratch, Slash, Metal Claw, Fury Swipes, Hone Claws, Night Slash. In fact, as far as learning moves goes, if it's not about its claws, it's all about speed. Learning moves like Agility and Quick Attack, further specializing in its two best stats. But there's always more to Pokemon analysis than stats and movesets. There's also behavior and environments to look into. Based on all the dex entries from Diamond and Pearl to Sword and Shield, there are a couple of key behaviors that Sneasel and Weavile exhibit. We know that these guys scavenge for bird eggs and are ambush predators, just like real weasels. However, according to the dex, they're also highly sociable creatures, moving and hunting in packs of 2 to 5, very much unlike real-world weasels who are solitary animals. Finally, these creatures apparently claw-mark terrain as communication, and said claws are apparently retractable that spring out and surprise their enemies. All interesting stuff to be sure, but there's just one thing about Sneasel and Weavile that's always been kind of weird. See, the two are Dark and Ice type. Considering how underhanded they're described in their dex entries, Dark type makes sense, but Ice? I mean, sure, I guess it might make sense as their natural habitats are cold, mountainous areas, but the only Ice-type move it learns naturally in the game is Icy Wind, which is not only the only special attack that it learns, but considering Sneasel and Weavile's special attack is the worst stat that it has by quite a large margin, why in the world would it have such a useless move?
Oh, I'll tell you why. Because Sneasel and Weavile are quite literally Kame-Itachi.
Wait, didn't we already talk about this guy a long time ago?
Yeah, but that was more along the lines of connecting Monster Hunter's Otogaron to weasels by way of animal biology. This, though, this is all about folklore. The Kame-Itachi, or literally sickle weasel, is a yokai that lives in the mountainous regions of Niigata, Yamanashi, and Nagano, basically the entirety of the Koshin-Etsu region of Japan. Within these chilling environments, it's believed by locals that Kame-Itachi, which are no bigger than your standard weasel, move at lightning-fast speeds across the mountains by riding whirlwinds, and using their scythe-like limbs that are strong as steel, create fast, painless gashes in the legs and bodies of the travelers that brave the hike. And that's what Kame-Itachi live for. Their goal is to create the most impressive scars that they can on their victims, assumedly to impress other Kame-Itachi or other yokai. The interesting thing about Kame-Itachi, though, is that while we have a generalized idea of what it is, that generalization is actually an amalgamation of regional differences. That is to say that each part of Japan for a long while had its own take on the pointy blur noodle. For example, in the Shin-Etsu region, Kame-Itachi were thought to be evil gods who appear to people who stepped on calendars. Similar did folks in Tohoku believe that should you be sliced by a Kame-Itachi, you had to char a calendar and rub the ashes on your wound to dissipate the scar. And no, I have no idea why there's a connection between calendars and the Kame-Itachi. But in the Aichi prefecture, they have a totally different name, Izuna. Nearly the same as the Kame-Itachi, but this guy drinks the blood that comes from the slice that it makes, thus explaining why so many of the Kame-Itachi cuts are bloodless. However, unlike all of these different distinctions, there's one that made its way into popular media, and it comes from the Hida province. There, locals believe that Kame-Itachi were actually 3 evil gods that worked together. One Kame-Itachi would knock down their victim, the other would slash up the victim's legs or torso, And the last would use a healing salve that prevented death from the injury, but left impressive scars all along the body. All done in the blink of an eye. But you want to know the heck of it all? The Kame-Tachi's wounds are actually a scientific phenomena recognized by not just Japan, but the international medical community. Researchers from the East and West since 1911 have been attempting to unwind the mystery behind the spontaneous leg gashes that people would receive who traversed the mountain ranges of northern Honshu. In fact, the British medical journal Spontaneous Wound Report defines the phenomenon as, quote, a form of a wound which occurs spontaneously and is frequently seen in Japan, the so-called Kame-Tachi disease. It is known by meteorologists that during thunderstorms, a temporary vacuum may occur in places as a result of stray air currents. And if a part of the body comes into such a space, a tear may result from the stray air currents. Which says nothing of the debris that the air currents may be carrying. But it all comes back to this sort of Arctic wind that people believe the Kame-Tachi ride. But remember, this was the early 1900s during the end of the Meiji period, where yokai specialist Inoue Enryo attempted to further modernize Japan by debunking yokai myths and legends into explainable natural phenomena. More info on that in our pilot episode if you want to check it out. But plainly speaking, they're just lightning-fast sickle weasels who love nothing more than cutting up travelers of Japan's Alps to create the most impressive cuts and scars as they can. You okay there, bud?
I don't know what to say. They're literally 1-to-1. Don't think so? Then let me break it down. What are the defining stats of Sneasel and Weavile? Speed and physical attack, right? In fact, like we said, Sneasel is the fastest unevolved Pokemon in the game, but every other stat is kinda garbo. Well, that's exactly what defines the Kame-Tachi. These yokai are built to do exactly two things: move really freaking fast either by their own merit or by whirlwind, and use their huge scythe-like claws to create intricate scars on their victims. Speed and physical attack, it's the same. And the same applies for these two Pokemon's moveset as well. Yeah, like I said earlier, everything about this guy revolves around its claws or increasing its speed. Scratch and slash? Yeah, I think that's self-evident. The steel move Metal Claw? Well, it is said that the Kame-Tachi Scythe are as strong as steel. In fact, in most cases, they are steel. Fury Swipes? Yeah, rapid fast attacks to scratch up your opponent. Or in the Kame-Tachi's case, the victim. Finally, Night Slash, a dark-type move that has, quote, the user slash the foe the instant the opportunity arises plus a high crit ratio? Please, this is the Kame-Tachi move.
But what about that singular confounding ice move that Sneasel and Weavile learned, Icy Wind? The only special attack move on a Pokemon with garbage special skill. I mean, why in the world is Sneasel and Weavile ice type in the first place?
Alright, turn down the snark. It actually makes sense when you think about it, gang. Yeah, I know the ice typing is weird and Icy Wind is a garbage special attack that acts as Sneasel and Weavile's only learned ice attack, but when you stop and consider that the way that Kame-Tachi transfers the frozen mountains where they live is specifically through windy winter storms, for Sneasel and Weavile to have this move actually makes a lot of sense. In fact, let's use this fact to transition to another connection between these two and their yokai cousin: location.
Like we mentioned, Kame-Tachi are known all over Japan, sure, but they're best known for dwelling in the Japanese Alps of northern Honshu. Not only are these mountains over 10,000 feet tall, but they're also 120 miles long, completely separating the Kanto and Kansai regions.
Alright, so you ready to have your brain explode into 1,000 tiny pieces? Cause check this out. In the Pokemon world, Kanto represents the Kanto area of Japan, and Johto represents the Kansai of Japan, right? Well, guess what sits between Kanto and Johto? Yeah, that's right, Mount Silver, which, to quote the game, is a hollowed mountain that rises between the Johto and Kanto regions, just like the Japanese Alps, right? And where is the very first location players of Pokemon ever encountered Sneasel? Mount Silver. And where were the Kame-Tachi first popularized? The Japanese Alps.
Oh, but friends, if you think we're done, sit right back down because we have one more similarity to talk about: behavior.
Now, what do we know about Sneasel and Weavile as far as social behavior goes? They work in groups for hunting and ambushing and communicate passively in cuts, right? It's about what half a dozen dex entries say. Now, what was it about the Kame-Tachi working in groups? Oh, that's right. According to the folks in the Hida province, the Kame-Tachi are technically 3 separate weasel gods. One to knock over the victim, one to slash, and one to apply a healing salve. And if you still doubt that these two monsters are one and the same, have a look at Pokemon Sun and Ultra Sun's dex entries. Quote, they travel in groups of 4 or 5. They bring down their prey with coordinated attacks. One Weavile will trip up a Sandshrew and flip it over, and then the other Weavile will deal the finishing blow with its sharp claws. Identical tactics to the Kame-Tachi.
Oh yeah, and that whole claw mark communication thing with Weavile and Sneasel, that's literally the entire point of the Kame-Tachi existing. They live to do nothing more than create the biggest, best scars that they can make on their victims.
There is no questioning it. Sneasel and Weavile are Kame-Tachi. In fact, I think they're honestly the most accurate depictions of Kame-Tachi in gaming to date. Most other instances of them are either too big or in the completely wrong environment. But Pokemon freaking nails it. Physical description, behavior, environment, everything is there. But what do you guys think? Are Sneasel and Weavile truly Kame-Tachi, or do their designs herald from another faraway land? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching, everyone! Like we said, there are tons of other Pokemon with yokai roosts to explore, so if you want to make sure to never miss out on any of our analysis videos, be sure to subscribe, get notified, and be sure to stop back on the channel page every once in a while because we upload almost every week. But until next time, everyone, this is Gaijin Goombah, signing out.